Nik Nak Podcast. These are going to be our running back rankings. Hit him with the Heisman. But we're going to go through 20 guys that we like. We're not going to go in depth on all of them, but these are going to be 20 running backs we're looking out for in standard scoring for your fantasy football draft this year.
Half-point PPR, right?
Half-point PPR, but if anyone is significantly affected by PPR changes, we will go ahead and note them down here. Number one, both of us are in agreement, Mr. Todd Gurley.
Yeah, so Todd bursted on the scene as a rookie. Don't need to talk about too much of him. Had 1,000 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns on a not underachieving, but a poor Rams team. Mr. 7-9, Mr. 8-8 finishes Jeff Fisher. So we see Todd Gurley taking the next leap, and by default.
Before you continue, actually, I gotta give Matthew Berry credit for this one. He had a pretty good stat this week. Jeff Fisher has been the defensive coordinator for 4 coaches and has had 3 assistant coaches become head coaches. The combined record of those teams is 317 and 318. So not only is Jeff Fisher...
You can't make this up. It's Illuminati. You cannot make this up.
Continue, though. Go ahead.
Just so Gurley, I mean...
Shout out to Matthew Berry.
Yeah, Matthew Berry is the fantasy expert. We're second to him.
Second to him. Yeah.
So, Gurley, he's here by default. I think, like, if you talked to us a month ago, everyone had Le'Veon Bell there. Just what he can do from the backfield, better offense, better team. Gurley's here because he had a great rookie year, has all the hype, and you think he's going to take the next step. I still have some worries there. It's crazy to have worries from your number 1 overall person on your draft board.
You're
right,
but like, he burst on the scene week 2, had 4 straight 120-plus yard games, and then kind of stumbled down the stretch a little bit. Yeah, he only had 100-yard game after that, and that was week 11, and after that, shut down week 13.
So it seems like the Rams are not starting Jared Goff to begin the season.
Nope.
And
Mr. Case Keenum.
Not that it matters. I mean, what can you really expect from the QB position? You got to think that defenses are going to be stacking the box. But Gurley's that type of AP talent that they can beat the box.
Yeah.
So that's why we're not too worried. One caution is his receptions. He only had 188 yards in today's fantasy football. That's not going to cut it from RB1, let alone your number 1 overall pick. So that's he's our number 1, but I still have some worries there.
Yeah, speaking of AP, you have him at number 2.
Yeah.
I have him all the way down number 5, all the way down. But so what makes you think, like, you're picking 2 guys with Todd Gurley and Adrian Peterson who don't historically get a lot of receptions, like you just said. In today's fantasy football landscape, those are your top 2 guys. Like, why did you go in that direction?
So one thing with running backs is it's such a hit or miss. Like, some running backs coming in on 3rd down, and there's so much rotations now, so many running backs by committee. Only thing you can depend on is touchdowns. And having these 2 bell cows, like, who's the backup running back in Los Angeles? Like Cunningham or something? I don't even know. So, like, who's going to get all the carries. In Minnesota, McKinnon might get some looks, but, it's probably Trey Mason. The former Auburn.
I mean, you know about Trey Mason, right?
He's like missing, right?
Hasn't contacted the team in a while, and he has more serious problems with fantasy football.
So if you find Trey Mason, tell him to call Knuckle and tell him to call.
I'm concerned. I don't know. But
no, but in all seriousness, I'm liking these 2 for their touchdown dependency. And AP had almost 1,500 yards and 11 touchdowns. And Father Time catches up with everyone. He's over the 30 age limit, which the rule of thumb is stay away from running backs. But AP hasn't shown any reason for us to think that he's not going to be the focal point of the offense and not going to show the carry. I mean, he came back from ACL surgery and broke the rushing record.
And a year off and went off again. But
so let's talk about David Johnson. I mean, you have him at 2, I have him at 3. I had him on my team last year. Huge help. I mean, this guy just bursted on the scene.
Week 12. Yep.
Beginning of the year, we thought it'd be Andre Allenton. Busted out. Chris Johnson came in.
Came out of nowhere.
Chris Johnson, was good, serviceable for a couple weeks. David Johnson might be like week 8, week 9, comes in and just steals the show. Running touchdowns and receiving touchdowns, everything. PPR, everything.
Yeah,
monster.
He's the total package, and that's why you're seeing him being ranked this high this year. And I have him at I have him at number 2, and you have him at number 3. So we're both in agreement. David Johnson's gonna be a stud this year, and he's a guy that you should grab early if you can.
I mean, he had 8 rushing touchdowns in that short period. He had 4 receiving touchdowns and 1 return touchdown. And in explosive offense, I like the Arizona offense.
Exactly. That's another thing. If you want to play safe, go with a better offense. That's a way to go. Like AP's offense may revolve around him. Arizona's offense is going to move no matter what, and that gives David Johnson plenty of opportunities for red zone touches, catches out the backfield, plenty of offensive plays for him to pick up points. So that's why David Johnson is a great pick this year.
So for our only rookie in our top 20, Ezekiel Elliott.
I think even that, looking at it, might be
undervalued.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Speak your mind.
It's come out this week that Dallas is going to use him as a bell cow. But with that said, he has had his issues with some I think it's his hamstring is bothering him a little bit in this training camp. So it's kind of concerning to see that out of a rookie. But at the same time, if Dallas is planning on using him at least 2 out of 3 downs, then he's gonna have a huge season, and he's definitely should be taken in the first round. With that, David Johnson presents some uncertainty, but no one presents more uncertainty than a rookie. So if you don't feel comfortable taking a rookie in round 1, don't do it. But I think that Ezekiel Elliott could potentially have a great season.
So I kind of find it interesting that a lot of people have been tweeting at us and asking us will Elliott be the bell cow?
Yeah.
You don't spend a 4th overall pick on a guy you gotta rotate in with McFadden and Morris. Those are good running backs. This guy's gonna be everything. I mean, you don't draft him that high to be some sort of
and he might literally people call him the best prospect not named Todd Gurley to come out in a while, and that's fine. Guy blocks, he catches out of the backfield, he runs between tackles. Those are the 3 things you need out of running back. Anything else is just a bonus. He's checks off all those boxes, and I think he's gonna have a great season.
So let's compare him to Todd Gurley. Better offense, check. Better surrounding options, check. Better quarterback, check. Better receiver off the backfield,
check.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Gurley is a serviceable receiver, but Elliott's Le'Veon Bell status, kind of I can catch the ball
and get some yards afterwards. Yeah. So I think.
So I mean, you can make a serious case. He could be number 1, number 2 running back. I mean, there's really no clear-cut number 1, even though we have Gurley at number 1.
Yeah, I think any of the guys we've named so far, you can have your favorite between any of them and justify taking any of them number 1. Yeah. I think so.
So I have to talk about Lamar Miller because for some reason, I have him at 5. You have him at 6. I still think that's way too high. Something about Lamar Miller, have we seen enough of him to say that he's going to be successful in Houston?
I mean, yeah, you're right. Miami did not give him the carries going down the stretch, and leaving fantasy owners to be like, why? Why won't you get this guy who's clearly performing on 20 carries, more carries to prove himself? And who knows? Maybe he goes to Houston in Bill O'Brien's offense and puts up those numbers that we wanted to put up in Miami. But you're right. I think that he's gonna be a safe option for Brock Osweiler on checkdowns. He receives that well out of the backfield.
Yeah,
he's fast as hell, and I think he's gonna have a good season. So. What's your drawback on him?
So you think he's a traditional RB1? The old days when you draft Jamaal Charles or you think he'll be because he had 8 touchdowns last year, which is good, but he only had 800 yards.
There's no one kind of in the timeshare with him.
Right.
We've seen all those guys kind of come in when Arian Foster went down, and no one really threatened for the starting job at all, which is why they went out and spent this money on Lamar Miller. So I think that he's gonna have a great season. I want to talk about another number 1 running back who I have at 3 and you have at 6.
5.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
If you think of it as this happens in fantasy drafts all the time. You're talking about you hear this guy got hurt the year before or during training camp is going to miss the first 3-4 weeks. People draft him in the first the 3rd, 4th, 5th round anyway. People are hearing 4-game suspension for Le'Veon and they're treating him like the plague. If anything, this should be more of a plus for him because he's coming back fresh. We know what he's done coming back from suspension before.
Right.
If anything, the injury history should be kind of holding you back, but people are kind of treating that suspension like something is going to hold him back from drafting him early.
Right. I mean, there's no doubt he's the best, probably overall fantasy player, and second maybe to Antonio Brown on his own team. But he can do everything and. It's all about the playoffs.
Yeah.
You have to make the playoffs. If your league is structured that only 6 out of 14 teams make it, then yeah, sure, that's a big risk because you need to perform every week. Yeah. But if it's in a league where majority of the teams make it, maybe half, take a risk on Le'Veon Bell and draft D'Angelo Williams. Yeah. D'Angelo Williams showed he can be a number 1 running back He'll be a top 10 running back in that offense.
Yeah, if you're building your team, build it to get stronger as the season goes on. People are going to have injuries. They could start out 5-0, 6-0, and miss the playoffs. Build your team to get stronger going on. That'll give you room in the early weeks to kind of identify waiver pickups, these guys who went completely under the radar during drafts and lighted up week 1. People swarmed to the market to get them. It'll give you time to identify those players, build your roster around that, and then all of a sudden, bam, you have a number 1 running back in the NFL back.
So every running back that we listed, maybe actually no, I think all of them has bust potential. But
Yeah.
I could not see all right, take injuries out of the way. Can Le'Veon Bell have a bad season if he plays? It's not possible in that offense with that ability. I can't see it.
I can't see it either.
Like every one of these running backs, yeah, I could see some uncertainty, you know?
And how often do you see the number 1 running back from a fantasy football season coming in at number 7
Yeah, I mean
in rankings a year later? Devonta Freeman is like that for both of us. We're both not very high on Devonta Freeman. Maybe it's the presence of Tevin Coleman. Maybe it's Matt Ryan. Maybe we think it's going to be the passing offense. But for some reason, me and Nick don't seem to be sold on Devonta Freeman.
And at 7, we actually have him higher than a lot of other mocks. I think Yahoo has him as the 10th running back. Wow. So that shows you because I think it's that first year kind of burst on the scene. You want to see more out of him. Before last year, he was labeled as a bust. Like he was a relatively high draft pick from Florida State, and he never really panned out.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, this guy kind of trash. He had his moment, and then how many touchdowns did he have? He had 11 rushing touchdowns and 3 receiving. He was their goal line threat, and we saw Julio Jones had only 8 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah,
because all the touchdowns went to him.
Went to Devonta Freeman. Yeah, and maybe he has a rebound year, and we're talking about a guy who has the receiving and the catching coming out. Receiving and the rushing coming out of the backfield. I really don't see a reason why we have him this low, but at the same time, we both just have our reservations about taking Devonta Freeman too early. And our next guy is a guy who always used to go number 1, number 2 in the drafts, Jamaal Charles, coming off injury. And now with the presence of Kendrick West and Spencer Ware, they seem to be entering into this era where they're going to be easing Jamaal Charles in to these situations, not overworking him, not making sure he goes down too early, or no major injuries for him. Are you avoiding Jamaal Charles this year?
I think this is the definition of boom or bust. Like this guy could literally finish second, or he'll be unstartable by week 5, and Kendrick West will be the new guy to hold. And this is the biggest gamble. But say I draft AP, and I want to take a shot on Jamaal Charles as my second running back. I'll do that. I won't put him as my number 1 running back because I don't know what I'm getting back in return.
Yeah.
But I know Andy Reid, one thing about Andy Reid, he loves using his running backs. Look at LaShawn McCoy or Brian Westbrook. He always uses running backs in running and in the receiving game. So it's just a question of opportunity. I think Kendrick West has next, but it just matters if this year or the next year.
See, I'm kind of in disagreement with you there. I think this year, Spencer Ware is going to be the guy you're going to want to own if you're not owning Jamaal Charles out of that backfield. Because Spencer Ware is going to be the guy who's going to get those goal line carries if they do not use Jamaal Charles in that situation.
Right.
Spencer Ware is a bigger, shiftier guy.
Right.
And he can run the ball through space. So, the next 4 guys, I don't really think we need to say much about them. We're kind of in agreement on who they are, just kind of the order, mix and matches here and there. Doug Martin, C.J. Anderson, Eddie Lacy, and Mark Ingram.
Yeah, we all have them 9 and 12. What do you think about Skinny Lacy, though? You think that whole, P90X paleo diet is going to, increase his fantasy stock? Let's be real.
I think it might. I could see it happening. He's been a stud before. I have no reason to see why he couldn't be a stud with 30 pounds less on him. So, I think if you're looking to grab him a little late, I think he's worth the risk.
Yeah, really, it irritated me when you had James Stark stealing carries from him. Come on, man. Come on, McCarthy. Give the ball to Lacy. And part of it, I think Jordy Nelson will help him out, too.
Yeah, I think it will.
Take the top off the defense. They were stacking the box. Randall Cobb was not getting separation. No one was.
Yeah.
Richard Rodgers, come on, man.
This next guy, a little interesting. Thomas Rawls. What do you think about Thomas Rawls?
So Rawls, obviously with Marshawn going down last year, Rawls stepped on the scene as Seattle's running back, and his first game he just went off. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think he had
and I was a beneficiary of picking him up right before that game started.
Yeah, so Rawls, I think just by the product of the system, Seattle, as much as we talked about that they want to throw the ball, they're still going to run the ball a good amount. I don't think they're going to turn into the Detroit Lions or the Packers or something like that where they're throwing the ball 40, 50 times. And they're going to be a good team, so he's going to have opportunities to score at the goal line. I don't really know if there's a threatening backup there, so I like it.
Christine Michael, and this year they drafted C.J. Prosise, who is very highly touted coming out of college. Christian Michael has had his chances with many teams, including the Redskins, including the Cowboys, including the Seahawks, who cut him before too, and brought him back. But so far, our training camp accounts, however you want to take them, are that Christian Michael is a reformed man, is motivated, he's running with passion and all that good stuff. But Thomas Rawls is Thomas Rawls. We saw what he did last year when he came in for Marshawn Lynch, and I don't see, as long as he gets over his ankle issue that he has right now, I think he can do it again. And I think that grabbing him where he's going in drafts right now is going to be a huge get for you.
So let me ask you a question. I'm going to give you one running back on a better team, but arguably less talent, and then another better running back on a worse team, if that makes any sense. So would you rather have Hyde on the Niners, you're basically rebuilding, or Thomas Rawls on the Seattle Seahawks, who are contending for Super Bowl?
I'm going to take Thomas Rawls here, and it has to do with the same reasoning that we gave for David Johnson, where better offense equals more opportunities.
Yep.
Even if it's not like a run-first offense anymore with Russell Wilson, anytime that they're near the goal line or having more plays, that means more opportunities for Thomas Rawls.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in those situations, you're going to be safe. We saw a lot of situations where we all remember the week 1 for Hyde. Anyone who stayed up for the second Monday Night Football game, he went off. And people thought that, this is the new guy. This is it. And then 49ers went down the toilet. And defense was like, all right, good luck running Hyde. We know that Blaine Gabbert and Colin Kaepernick can't throw. And I think you're going to see that again this year.
So the changing variable is obviously Chip Kelly. So what is Chip Kelly going to do with his offense? Is it going to be Blaine Gabbert or is it going to be Colin Kaepernick? Who knows?
He seems like Blaine Gabbert better, but
I think he's leaning towards Gabbert too. So let's finish up by talking about one running back each. Who do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about Jeremy Hill.
Sure.
So he last year was a guy who a lot of people, including myself, took in the second round to be either running back 2 or even running back 1 in a lot of situations. People thought that he showed enough his rookie year to come in and take that role, a guy who blocks, catches the ball in the backfield, runs in from the goal line and everything. I think the fumbles and the down games are souring a lot of people on Jeremy Hill, and I think that's killing his draft stock, and I think that he could be another steal later on. Like, I have him at 17, you have him at 20. So what do you think? Are you turned off by Jeremy Hill? Are you gonna look for him depending on where?
Personally, I like Jeremy Hill. I hate the term of running back by committee. I like Gio Bernard, and there's no way Gio's not a part of his offense. I mean, Gio, the patch catcher and third down. Jeremy Hill is touchdown dependent. He had 11 touchdowns last year, and everyone's saying he's had a down year. 11 touchdowns is a very high amount for a running back.
And that's the one thing that salvaged him as even being a guy that you could own. If he didn't have those 11 touchdowns, he was going to be cut. He was one of those guys that you're cutting. But going back to your point about Gio Bernard, the Bengals have tried out Gio Bernard as the bell cow in their offense.
He's not that guy.
And they've learned that he can't handle it.
Right.
He
can't run between the tackles.
He can't run between the tackles. Yes, he's going to get Gio Bernard's going to get his. He's going to get his catches. He's going to get all that. But at the same time, Jeremy Hill is going to get those same opportunities on first and second down and third down, depending on what the situation is. Last year, he only had about 4 games where he did not have double-digit rushing attempts, and on top of that, he had a few games where he had a few receptions coming out of the backfield. So I think this year you can look to grab Jeremy Hill at a good value because a lot of people have sour on him from last year.
If he's my flex or RB2, I'll probably take a hit on him. I definitely think he is a good return on a good team. It's going to score touchdowns.
Exactly.
So I want to wrap up by talking about 2 Matts. I'm going to ask you which one you like better and why. Matt Jones or Matt Forte? So you got the young stud who's going to have most of the carries in Washington.
Yes.
You have the older stud who's been successful almost every year, but he's in New York now, Matt Forte.
Give me the guy who's got a year experience on the offense already.
Oh.
I'm going to go with Matt Jones, our boy.
Mm-hmm.
There's talk about Chris Thompson taking his receptions out of the backfield, but Matt Jones has shown that he's very capable in taking a screen pass and taking it at least 20, 30 yards, or if not to the house, which he did a few times last year. So again, big running back, runs hard, catches the ball in the backfield, has explosiveness to take it all the way. Matt Jones has all the pieces, and between that, I'm gonna take him over Matt Forte, and I feel like you disagree with me.
I actually think they're like neck and neck. But one thing, the biggest detriment against, or the biggest argument against Matt Jones is his fumbles. Are fumbles that big of a deal in fantasy football? It's -2 points, right?
No.
Like, why do people dwell so much about fumbles? If he's gonna score a fumble but score a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, like it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, you fumble 4 times in the whole season, that's 8 total points, almost to a touchdown. Matt Forte, it's tough to see what the Jets are gonna do. I think Chris Ivory was, sufficient last year. This offense is very interesting. Do you think they're going to be run? Like, I don't know if they're going to be a running team. It seems like they're going to be airing it out. I can see.
Like Ryan Fitzpatrick's back. He has rapport with Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker. I can't see them getting in a situation where they're going to be running any more than they were before.
Yeah.
I think Matt Forte is a better version of Chris Ivory than Chris Ivory is.
Yeah.
But Matt Forte has got some miles on him. Granted, he has never broken down, really. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think running back first year in the offense, you really never know what to expect.
So, a very common strategy in draft boards is the 0 running back strategy. You've heard of it, right? Like, when you draft no running backs. What do you think about that? And I think stack up the receivers and tight ends and QBs.
If you subscribe to the 0 running back strategy, you better play the waiver wire very, very well. Very well.
Save your waivers.
Not saying that, like, it can't be done. I've done it many times. But that's something that I do a lot, where I don't take running backs early, except for maybe round 1 if I want to grab a stud like Le'Veon, who I love. But if you can play your waivers well, and you're not a team that goes out and picks up these 3-4 guys off waivers every week, and your waiver priority is constantly low, and you save that number 1, number 2, number 3 waiver for these guys who break out or take over for injured running backs, you can grab starters as the year goes on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that maybe if you can get a stud early on and you really, really like them, go ahead and take them. But if you're gonna reach for guys like, give you an example.
I mean, just look at last year, right? Devonta Freeman, probably not drafted in most teams. Thomas Rawls, probably not drafted.
Yeah. And we had Spencer Ware and Charkandrick West both break out and have their moments in the sun for Kansas City after Jamaal Charles went down.
Deion Lewis.
You can find these guys. You can find these guys as the season goes on. Running backs are going to break out constantly. As long as you can figure out a way to maneuver that waiver wire, you can do it. I'm not going to be reaching in round 3 for C.J. Anderson. I'm sorry. Like he's proven up to me last year that he's not worth trusting, and I'm not going to be reaching for him just so I can have a running back 2. When I could probably go out and find one a few weeks later. Maybe I'll take a few hits on running back, but again, you're building your team to get stronger as the season goes on. Pick up the guys that you can rely on early, and you can always move things around in that sense. And that's why I don't do the running back. I like the 0 running back strategy. Grab one.
I miss the days that Denver running backs were always a surefire.
Oh yeah,
Ruben Drones, or Tatum Bell, like Clinton Portis. Now it's like, what's the guy's name? Who was last year? So C.J. Anderson before that. Monte Ball. It's just like, come on, man. But Kubek wants to run the ball, so opportunities will be there, but we'll see.
If you're drafting for your prison fantasy football league, don't forget to draft Monty Ball. We'll be back. Good luck on your drafts. This is Nik Nak Podcast.